I am your host, FatDag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 303 of Wise Advice. The title for this show is Official or Not. I'm a lifetime member. I got 3 great emails for you coming up in just a minute. Heather and Lisa, the producers of the Wise Advice podcast, have done an amazing job curating the content. Jacob remotely is going to edit this whole thing out for you so it sounds clean and crisp, and just really, it's just a great listening experience. I appreciate so many of you tuning in live over on Facebook, joining us live over on YouTube, catching the recording aspect of this as we produce the entire show. It's kind of fun to just hang out as a community. It's neat to watch you guys all show up and chat with each other and say hi to each other. It's a very, very cool community. So thanks for being here, all the live listeners. And for those of you who aren't able to catch it live, whether you got, obviously prior obligations or whatever's going on in your life, thanks for tuning in anyways. And preferably in the Wise Advice app. If you've noticed, we've got the transcript of each episode now is automatically put in the app. So after each show, when it gets released, you can read along if you want. If you visit WhysrMe.com, it's a little bigger PDF version that you can actually print and follow along if you wanted to, if the app is too difficult or too small to read. But a lot of that going on. But I want to tell you today, the coolest thing ever. You remember way back in episode 218, so about almost 100 episodes ago. Episode 218, bookmark it if you want. But in that episode, we started talking about the 5 questions, the what are your expectations and do you believe you can do it? And what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do in your life? And what obstacles are in your way? And ultimately, who is responsible for your journey? So I asked those 5 questions. And part of it is, as the journey evolves for a lot of us, we continually have to look back and figure out what we're doing so that we can kind of then make improvements and make changes or just add some consistency to the things that we're doing. So these 5 questions started getting me to the days when I thought that, oh, this is too difficult. I asked myself, well, is it really difficult? You've done some pretty hard things in your life. Is this really the most difficult thing? No, maybe it's not. And at days when I thought maybe the entire world was against me and every single person who came to the house seemed like they brought a cookie or a cake or a cupcake of some sort, I started asking myself, well, who is ultimately responsible? It doesn't matter how many people attempt or try or want to or even in their good deeds, it looks like sabotage. The ultimate decision of responsibility relies with me. So I'd ask myself that question, and it kind of powered me to go forward and say, okay, well, if I'm responsible for my own success, then I have to be the one to take control of the situation and not just allow things to happen to me as they happen. So these 5 questions became very powerful, and so we talk about it in episode 218. But what I did, I put them at that point. I put them in a nice little Word document, and it was kind of neat. And I sent it out to whoever wanted it. But we have completely redesigned it. The same 5 questions are there, but we've added a couple other components to it, talking about power words and vision statements and word clouds. And so what I've done, I've taken this workbook. And I spent a lot of time with a designer designing it and making sure it's absolutely beautiful. And if you have a copy, tell us how beautiful it is as you're listening along. But I think it's beautiful, and I'm so in love with this thing, and I'm giving it away. I'm giving away 10,000 copies of this thing. So far, we're at 977, so not too many left to go, right? We have 9,023 to be exact. Copies left, and of course I'll probably keep going after that, but I'm already working on our version 2. But what happens, and I want to walk through this, what happens is you go to fatdag.com, you scroll to the bottom, you see the 5 questions very plainly. Just underneath that, there's your opportunity to say, hey, I want a copy of this workbook. And you just type in your email address, and it sends you a copy of the workbook. That's it. I don't ask for your name, I don't ask for your address, I just want your email address. Here's why. What I've done is I want you to take some time and actually work through this workbook. I don't want you to sit down on day 1 and write the whole thing out and just never touch it again. So for those first 7 days, you're going to get an email from me every single morning at 8:15. It comes in on the East Coast time, and it comes in and it says, hey, here's question number 1. Here's some follow-up questions to kind of get that brainstorming activity going. That's it. Just work question number 1. The next day, you get another email. It says, here's some additional questions. Here's some points to ponder for question number 2. We're going to do that for all 5 questions. Then we're going to get into the goal setting section as a separate email. And then once a month, you're going to get some supplemental pages that come forward. I'm working on some supplemental pages for you because, as you notice, it's only good for a month. There'll be some supplemental pages that come to you once a month and just reminders to say, yeah, I'm doing this. And so it's important to go to the website and request a copy from there to get into that email train. Otherwise, you just get the workbook and you're kind of a little bit lost. You can follow along on episode 218, which is close. But I think the email really ties it in. Plus, you're going to want all that supplemental content. And if you know me, you've been around for a long enough time, you know that I treat your email address very confidentially. I'm not blasting out a bunch of crap to you just for the sake of doing it. I want to make sure that we're really focused on our journey because we're in this together. So that's how you get a copy. A little bit of a long intro here, but I want to make sure that every single one of you get there. Man, I'd love to give away 10,000 copies in, let's do this in a couple months, right? It would be kind of fun. We did about 1,000 in less than a week. It's a little bit unrealistic to expect it to go at 1,000 per week, but how cool would that be if 10 weeks from now we give away 10,000 copies of this thing? And I think it's cool. That's a contribution from this community that we've all built together as a neat little tool. So thanks for checking that out. Again, fatdag.com, get on the website, get there. You can also get there from my Instagram profile. If you go to click the link in my bio, it'll take you right to that same place as well. So I want to open up this email here, open up the show with Veronica's email. She says, hi, FatDag. Hey, thank you for your service. I'm a disabled RN. I work in a nursing home for veterans. God bless those men and women. We owe them so much. Unfortunately, I received a back injury while saving one of the patients from a fall and injuring himself. So now I have rods, plates, and screws holding my spine in place. I was a WW member in the days of the slider. I reached lifetime, and then that's when life happened. I've had 3 extensive back surgeries and gained all the weight back and more. Then social service called from another state. My fiance's grandchildren needed an emergency placement for what was supposed to be 2 to 6 months. It's been 4 years. Of course I said yes, and as always, I put everyone else's needs before my own. Funny how most women or nurses have this issue. We want to save everyone or everything else. In December of 2019, I attended my daughter's college graduation. The shock when I saw myself in pictures, but I wasn't prepared yet to make changes. Then on January 22nd, 2019, I was going grocery shopping, but for some reason I pulled in at the WW. I sat in the car talking to myself thinking, oh my God, what if these people in there at my previous meeting, they all still worked here? Surely not. It's been 15 years. It took me a good 20 minutes to get the courage to walk through those doors. Oh, my fear came true. 2 of the staff were still there. Surely they won't recognize me. After all, it's been so long and they've seen thousands of people. Nope. They both said, hi, how have you been going? How's it been? We're so glad to have you back. They noticed that I use a cane now and we make talk about my health, but not once did they ask, what the heck did you do? Or say, I can't believe you let yourself gain so much weight. I stepped on the scales and realized, oh, what damage I had done. What a wonderful topic that day. What is your why? Wow, this made me think. I finally realized, hey, I'm important. I'm going to make WW my time for me. As of today, I'm back as a lifetime member, 110 pounds gone. I have a normal BMI. How exciting. I let them go, never to return, for I have my why. It's important too, because I'm important too. WW is important. The in-person workshops, Connect, your podcast, the Facebook group, it's all the support that I need. I should be content and happy. I've achieved my WW goal, but the hard part is I don't know what my personal goal is. Sounds crazy, I know, but my brain doesn't feel like I'm at goal. Veronica. Well, Veronica, let's start with the obvious. Congratulations on an amazing journey for you, and I really appreciate all that you do for the men and women who serve this country as well. You know, of course, doing that for 27 years is just, I love that community. I'm just such a part of everything that is in there. And so for those of you who reach out and help that community as well, again, special place in my heart for all that you do in that lane. And of course, being an RN on top of that is just even that much more cool. So thank you for all of that and taking care of others. There comes a point, though, and I'm going to get the quote wrong, but we realize that we have two hands. You know, one is for helping others. One is there to help yourself, right? And so you can do that. And I got to go find that quote. I'll put it in the show notes because I found it the other day and I just loved it. But the concept is that it's okay to take care of other people. We need people in society taking care of other people. No doubt about it. But the truth of the matter is we have to then go, I need to take care of me first. And whether you're an RN, whether you're a woman, I think it's systematic across the board. Is there's a lot of us who really just want to take care of others. You want to know why I think a lot of that is? Taking care of others is easier. It's a lot easier to say, hey, do this, do that, do this, and not have to put in the work to get the results. You can simply just be there to pick up and help when someone is helping. And usually those who you help, they become very appreciative. We don't become appreciative in our own journey when we reach out to help ourselves. We don't often take time to help ourselves and then say, man, Veronica, that's a great thing you just did for yourself. We don't do that. And so one, is difficult to put in the hard work, and two, we don't get the reward of someone externally acknowledging us. It's important to do both of those. It's important for you to understand that, hey, you're putting in the hard work because that's what works, and then celebrate along the way all the things that you're doing to consistently get you to where you want to be. As you wrapped up your email and said, I should be content and happy, I believe you truly are. And I'm not going to put words in your mouth because that's not really fair for me. But I think in a lot of ways you are. You're just at a point in time where you're looking for more, and it becomes difficult to quantify it, and becomes difficult to really be excited about it because you just don't know what's next, and you're looking for that next kind of thrill. And so when we think about our journey, right, certainly if we could go back and put the 110 pounds on you, you're not going to be happy. So the difference between then and here is certainly happiness. So it exists. Know that. Know that even if you're feeling it, that it doesn't exist, it truly does exist, because if we put you back to where you were, it would be a complete mindset shift to you. So you've moved out of that. So recognize that for one. And then two, let's say, okay, now what is the goal? What is it that I want to accomplish? And I think a lot of us, for a lot of times, we haven't had the opportunity to really sit down, dig in, and set the goals that we want for ourselves because, one, we're taking care of others, and two, maybe our life choices up to this point haven't afforded us the opportunity to really do the things that bring us true joy. I want you to start exploring that. I want you to start looking in and say, what is it that I want to do for me to take care of me? What makes me happy? And what can I do to continue doing that along the way? So you found the right communities. WW certainly is important. The workshops are important. The Zoom workshops now are super important. Connect, this podcast, the Wise Wingman Facebook group, all those things bring a level of importance to your journey. But the most important piece to it, the most important piece, every single one of you listen, here's the most important thing is you. It's absolutely you, right? And so think of this. If it wasn't you, how can we build a community without people? We can't. How can we have a workshop without people? We can't. How can we have a Facebook group without people? We can't. So the most important piece is you showing up, being there for you, being a part of this community, staying active and engaged, and getting it done. So congratulations, Veronica, on being back at goal, 110 pounds lost, being a lifetime member. All of that is just absolutely incredible. You should be jumping up and down right now, celebrating and that all of your hard success, all of your hard work that brought you this level of success. So again, congratulations, and thanks for writing in. This next email comes in out of Oregon. Miranda writes in and says, "Good afternoon, FatDag. My name is Miranda, and I've been a silent listener for about a year now. I tried to get into the show when I first started WW in 2017 at the age of 22, but podcasts in general just were not the thing back then, and it didn't really catch my attention. When I started a new job in August of 2018, however, I was recommended a lot of podcasts by a coworker, and I discovered that they help my days pass much more quickly. I then returned to Wise Advice and pleasantly discovered that I really enjoyed it. I found that listening to an episode every afternoon, especially as I walked outside for my afternoon break, helped me to stay focused for when I went home at the end of the day. Even if this never gets read on air, too late, I need to tell you, even just you and myself, and I suppose, of course, Heather and Lisa, about my weight journey from its beginning. Sometimes we all just need to remember where we came from to help us move forward better. Like many others on WW, I struggled with my weight for my entire life. As an early elementary school, I was always quite a picky eater, and the results did my body no favors. By the time I was in middle school, I was constantly self-conscious of my body and how much bigger I felt than everybody else. High school, of course, was much more worse because there was always a dance or something going on that required dressing up and trying to look beautiful. My teenage memories are just filled with the pain and the heartache I felt in dressing rooms, trying on fancy dresses that never fit. I was never asked on a date in high school, which just fueled my loneliness and hatred of my body. I remember learning about eating disorders in my health class and wishing I had the strength to starve myself skinny. Yep, my mental health was pretty messed up. Other things contributed to my feelings, of course, but the long and short of it is that I was devoid of confidence and self-love of any kind. By the time I graduated, though, I was in a much better place, and I had developed healthier coping mechanisms than the one that I used in the past. I met a great group of friends quickly in college, but even so, by my third semester, I was in a lower place than I'd been in quite some time. My weight had only gotten worse, and since I went to college in Hawaii, I was constantly confronted by my self-consciousness whenever I went to the beach or had to put on a swimsuit, or for that matter, whenever I saw other girls in their swimsuits. Comparison was my life, and it ate away at me every single day. Fortunately, my parents are pretty awesome, and I could talk to them even about the darkest things that I felt. I worked on finding the little things that brought me happiness, and I discovered that included cooking and baking. Well, unfortunately, it didn't help my weight, as I'm sure you can imagine. I was in a much better shape with my mental health by the time that I graduated from college. I was doing things that would have terrified me normally, although there were plenty of adventures I had to sit out because of my weight. I had a clear path when I graduated. I wanted to serve a mission for my church. In my church, single young men and women can choose to be placed on a mission anywhere in the world for a period of 18 to 24 months. You don't choose where you go, and they can be incredibly physically demanding as well. My bishop at my church worked with me on my papers. A few weeks into my preparation, I met with him again, and he gently told me he had discovered a BMI restriction for the missionaries. My BMI at the time was an astounding 43. To be eligible, I had to lose approximately 70 pounds. I think the person that I had been before, the one who'd struggled so much with self-confidence and love, would have been absolutely devastated by the news. It would have been so easy to be angry, to be indignant, to say my service wasn't any less important than the skinnier girls. It would have been easy to be offended and to be hurt. Instead, I felt grateful because I knew that applying for a mission was what the Lord had directed me to do. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt that He was telling me, look, Miranda, your feelings about your weight have stopped you from doing so many things, and I know it haunts you. I know every experience you missed out on because of your body and how you felt about how it hurts you so terribly much. Here is space and time to really try. Don't let it hold you back anymore. I felt like I walked out of that meeting with my bishop with an I can't do this attitude. If I did that, I'd be telling God, sorry, it's just too hard. I talked with my parents and told them that I wanted to join WW. I needed something that seemed possible, not just for now, but forever. My parents supported me wholeheartedly, and I walked into my first WW meeting January 4th, 2017. My first year on WW, I lost 60 pounds. As the pounds kept dropping off, I marveled at it. It felt so easy. I told myself and my family over and over again, I can't believe this is that easy. I didn't have a single gain on the scale until May. And that gain occurred at a meeting in Idaho that I attended because I had a road trip to see my brother and his family for my niece's birthday. Can you believe it? I went to a meeting in a whole other state because it was weigh-in day and I didn't want to miss it. Over the last 3-ish years, I've attended almost every WW workshop. I love my leader. I love the folks in my meeting. In 2017, I'd been working in my local school district as a tutor, and when that job ended in the summer, I actually became a WW guide. Every day, I felt like I was uncovering a person I didn't know at all. And it was awesome. I loved the girl I was becoming because she wasn't held back by any insecurities. I found grace for myself that I'd never experienced before. The WW meetings helped me patch up things that were broken in my mindset about my body and about food. I've always and will always recommend WW to anyone who wants to lose weight or needs help fixing their mindset about food and body image. My meetings dramatically improved my ability to forgive myself for slip-ups and my ability to speak kindly to myself. Additionally, I found myself able to really serve other people so much better. I didn't feel the same insecurities that I did before, so I put myself out there as a friend and a member of my church more than I ever did before. I didn't struggle at all until September 2017 when my grandpa passed away unexpectedly. He was 93. So I suppose it wasn't that unexpected, but still we didn't realize that he was about to go. We got the news while we were once again gone in Idaho with my brother and their families. His passing led to an almost week straight of driving for me and my dad. It was a slippery slope that I feel like I never really got out of. My mission still keeps me powering forward, though I got down to 69 pounds lost early in 2018. But my losses and gains alternated every other week. At that time, I got involved with a boy, and you can imagine how difficult it is to date someone and try and lose weight. As our relationship got more serious, I plateaued hardcore. I never crossed that 70-pound threshold, but I stayed in the same 5-pound range. I also struggled with the decision to seriously date the guy that I was with instead of continuing with my plans to serve on a mission. I felt assured that my relationship was a good one, though, and in June of 2019, my husband and I were married. I weigh in on the Saturday before my wedding, and I celebrated with all of my WW peeps, and ironically, that was the last weigh-in that I was below 200. I'm so grateful to have already been on the WW path when I met my husband because it's always been a part of who I am. At church and in my social circles, I was not shy about sharing my weight loss journey because I knew extra accountability by telling folks what I was truly trying to accomplish would actually help me stay on track, especially at activities or meetings that had lots of snacks. My husband has always known this about me. I know I am so lucky that I started WW when I was 22 because I'm mentally so much better than I ever was. And I know that the issues I have resolved are ones that many people spend most of their lives struggling with. Oh, I'm not perfect, though. And even though I have tracked nearly every day in all of my years with WW, even in the last 5 years, my 5-pound plateau range has slowly crept up. I was 199.8 when we got married. Now I'm 209 even. I know that even only a 10-pound gain in the first year of being married is a huge accomplishment. I can hear you, FatDag, saying that losing 60 pounds or maintaining 50 pounds over 3 years doesn't happen on accident, and I should be proud. And I am, I promise. It's heartbreaking to work so hard to continue losing, only to stay the same. I've been furloughed almost 8 weeks now, and even though I've been getting mostly blue dots and exercising at home 5 days a week all the time, I am still at a net 1.2 pound gain in that time. Last week, I felt so proud of how my week had gone and all that I'd accomplished in my workshops, and my husband telling me my legs would look leaner, but I showed a 2-pound gain on the scale. I was devastated, and I've been fending off that devastation over the last 2 years. During this plateau, each time I went up, I felt like it should have been down. I promised myself long ago I would never quit WW, and I won't. I love the community, and I love connecting, I love the pride. I feel like I'm trying to be healthy. I know that quitting only gives you a new start date. I cannot imagine my life without WW. In the last month, someone wrote in and said, please just tell me it works. Like her, I know it works because I did it once upon a time, but I don't understand what I'm doing wrong now, and why can't I seem to get this under control? I'm 5'5" and over 200 pounds. It's nowhere near goal for me, nor is my body happy at this weight. I feel more and more insecurities and negative self-talk I thought I'd long overcome that it's creeping back. And after having been free of those burdens, it feels so much worse to feel them again. I haven't let anybody, aside from my husband, see how much this plateau hurts me, how heartbreaking it has been to stay the same day after day, even when I'm tracking and I'm working out every day. I feel so defeated, but I know I can't quit. Honestly, it's so exhausting and I feel trapped. I can't go back to where I came from, but all of my efforts to move forward don't seem to work. I don't know what to do. I know you don't like it when we end on our sour notes, so here is a woohoo for myself. I've been a consistent WW member for 3 years at the young age of 25. And I've proved to myself that even in my most tumultuous and changing years, that is something I won't ever give up. Official or not, I'm a lifetime member, and thank goodness for that. Thanks again. I appreciate you and all you do for the community and for taking the time to read my story. I wish you good focus, Miranda. Oh, Miranda. Big old podcast love and hugs coming at you. The Facebook community is lighting up with tears and hugs of joy, as am I, with you so deeply sharing the truth. So deeply sharing what just about every single person, I'm generalizing, but a lot of us go through, right? There isn't a magic wand that boom fixes it and we just everything's good. This is a lifelong journey. If you've been given the blessing of this journey to bear, if this is the one that you've been given to carry forward, then it's yours for life. You may physically solve pieces of it for a while, but mentally there are gymnastics going on in there that you're going to have to struggle with for the rest of your life, regardless of what the scale says. And the fact that at 25 years young, you figured that out is an incredible blessing. I speak for a lot of us. I think, man, I would have loved to have had that kind of insight into my own life back at the age of 25, but I was nowhere near where you are in that piece. And so your story is a long one, and it's a good one, and I think all of us can relate to that. And so there's a couple things in here that I want you to kind of really understand that what's going on is you have some grief going on with your grandpa, 93 years old, right? Certainly not expected, but not unexpected, but still doesn't mean we have to enjoy it any less or any more, right? It's a devastating impact to our family. The dynamic changes everything. Starting a job, getting married, getting furloughed, going through all of this. You've had some incredible changes just in this short 3-year window. And all of those changes, each and every single one of them, they come with documented incremental weight gain. It's true. There are periods in our life where we just, society, gained weight, going to college, getting married, graduating, grief, death of a family. I'm sure furlough would make the list, right? I'm sure COVID-19 makes the list. There are things in our life that happen, and what's happening is it takes consistency and routines to change our life. We have to get into a new routine. We have to somewhat ditch who we are to some degree, right? And we have to turn into someone new, someone that adds daily activity and daily habits and daily things that we do that support the new lifestyle we want to become. When we start doing that, as you alluded to, it's easy early on. It is easy to follow this plan if you're willing to do a couple things. Completely sign off from life, right? Don't talk to anybody. Don't accept any social engagements. Don't participate in any events. Don't hang out with anybody. Live in your own little bubble. You can do it. And for a lot of us, when we start this journey, we get so focused on us that's exactly what's happening. Is that we make the journey easy because we when the phone rings and say, hey, do you want to go do this? We say, no, I'm good. You know, when we go to a restaurant and everyone's ordering, we sit there and we're the only one without food in front of our plate because we've already eaten. You know, there's a social element that we're willing to kind of give up as that happens. Then when our life changes, either through one of those major milestones, major life events, we start to go, what's really important? Is it really that important for me to sit at a dinner table at a fancy restaurant with no food in front of me because I had, a protein bar 10 minutes earlier? It supports the journey by all means, but does it support the lifelong journey of living happily ever after with friends and family as part of your daily life? The two conflict with each other, and at some point we have to then go, you know what, life is short. I want to sit and enjoy this time with my friends and family, and that's where we become conflicted. Marriage certainly brings that into, right? Talking about, a complete change in lifestyle. You went from being the only one who cared what was for dinner to having to now make a decision with somebody. You don't always get to choose anymore. When it's just you can pick whatever you want and go do it. When it's now two of you, wait till you start having children. It gets even more difficult at that point, right? Because you don't get, sometimes in this house, I'm the last one that gets a vote, right? Sometimes I get to vote first, but generally speaking, I get 1/3 of the vote, and they love to eat happy and healthy. So sometimes I don't get to win those arguments, but here's where I really honed in on your email. I mean, all of that stuff was the surface stuff that I wanted to attack, and I want to say I'm proud of you, just like you heard. I want to say you're doing amazing work. But the question you asked me that I want to give you an answer to, you asked me, what am I doing wrong? And I don't want to go there. I think our society is willing to give you those answers, right? I think as a society, people are willing to always tell you how you can improve, how you can do better. And what we hear is, here's all the things you're doing wrong. Can we switch the narrative just a little bit? Can we find out what it is that you're doing right? And just do more of that. Miranda, you're doing some amazing things. You're tracking all the time. You're getting those blue dots, right? And so those are things that support your journey. And so start thinking about, rather than making a list of the things you're doing wrong and reminding yourself over and over and over and over and over again that you may not be doing things properly, switch it. Start making a list of, what did I do today that supports this journey that I'm on? What did I do today that gives me the new life that I want? What did I do last meal? What did I do the week before? And every day start taking an inventory of what it is you're doing properly. And then just do more of that. Not that it's that easy, but you can recognize the different things that you do that support your journey and the things that you do that maybe don't support your journey at the time. And when you recognize them, you then have the opportunity to learn from them. And again, at 25 years old, your self-awareness, that what you've written down in this email is deep. It's very articulate. It's amazing. I'm proud of you at 25 to be able to put this on paper. So you have the mental capacity to do what I'm asking you to do, and that's just to switch it up. My favorite book ever that helps with this is The Noticer by Andy Andrews, and I want you to pick up a copy of that. If you email me in, I promise you, and give me your mailing, I'll mail you one. I just want you to read it so bad that I don't care how you get it. If I got to buy it and send it to you, I will. If you want to go get it, that's fine too. It'll be quicker. But I want you to read a copy of this book. And there's a couple reasons why. It's my favorite book ever. It completely changed my life years and years and years ago. I've read it probably a handful of times since then. It takes me about a couple hours to read the whole thing. So it's not like it's a laborious book where you got to spend weeks and months to get into the end of it. But it's a pretty good story. I think you'll like it. There's some spirituality in there that's very subtle, but you'll pick up on it. For those of you who maybe aren't in that spiritual lane, it's not so in your face that you can't read the book. You're going to be okay with it. I promise you. You have my word on that. But there's a piece to this book where it just teaches you how to see differently. It teaches you how to shift your perspective. It teaches you how to be grateful for the things that you're doing. It teaches you how to just, open your eyes and go, I'm in a pretty good place. And you recognize that before. I get that. But it allows you to then start taking inventory of everything else that you're going in. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but the book is absolutely, my hands down, my number one favorite book ever. So go pick up a copy for sure. And the rest of you listening, definitely go do that. It's called The Noticer by Andy Andrews. And like I said, it's my favorite book. But Miranda, back into why I want you to read that book is because I want you to switch your narrative in your head to all the amazing things that you're doing. And I want you to recognize them more often. And celebrate the fact that at 25 years old, you have this ability. You have the rest of your life in front of you, and you've started at 25 years old, you started on a wellness path to self-improvement. Man, I would have loved to have that opportunity at 25. If I could go back, I don't ever wish to go back in time, but if I could, that's the gift I would ask for. And you've been given it. So congratulations on that. And so don't quit asking what you're doing wrong. It's not about what you're doing wrong. The list of things you're doing right is significantly longer. And I'll give you a little inside trick that I learned back in the day when I was a recruiter, right, and with the Air Force. What we would do is folks would come to us with how to make a decision. Do I join or not join, right? And this happens in all sales environments, and it's called the Ben Franklin close for those of you who recognize it. And so what we do is we say to each other, if you're on the fence, make a list of pros and cons, right? We draw a line in the middle of the paper. On the left side, we think of all the reasons why this is not going to work, and on the right hand side, we list all the reasons we think it's going to work. And the way this trick works is you sit down, me, the sales guy, a recruiter sits down with an applicant and says, hey, we draw a line in the paper. We say, I want you to write down all the negative things that you can think of as to why this isn't a good idea. And you let them sit there and do it. Now, they're under a little bit of pressure. They're a little bit hesitant, and they write down like 2 or 3 things. And then they kind of stumble because, again, they feel a little awkward doing this. And then you say, you know what? Let's start writing down some of the positives. Then as they write down the positive things, what we do, we help them with the list, right? Oh, don't forget this one. Oh, have you thought about this? Don't forget that. And so now when they look at these 2 lists, one list of negatives has about 2 or 3 things on it, and the list of positives goes off the page onto the back. And then we go, see, it's clear that this is the right decision, right? We balance the pros and the cons. We have to stack that same deck in our minds right now. Even though it's a trick, even though it's a game, we have to get to the point where we play that game in our head so that we go, you know what? Yeah, I do have a lot going for me. I am pretty amazing. I am winning at life at 25 years old already. I am down 60 pounds. I can do this. And by me just getting a little more exercise and maybe getting a little more accurate with the scale, tracking and measuring and weighing food, and maybe portioning and planning, all the tricks that all the tools that we give you as a WW member, all of those are given for a reason. Dig into some of them and start setting goals in that lane. And we say, okay, you got this. You can do this. And Miranda, I want to end by just really saying thank you for such an amazing email and amazing insight into your own life and sharing it with this community. I saw a couple comments as I'm going through the Facebook feed here of people saying, yeah, I get it. And that's me. And I could have done that. And so what I say often on this podcast is that when you write in, first of all, I'm going to read it. Heather and Lisa are going to read it, but it's therapy for you. Even if it doesn't make it to the air, which in yours it did, of course, if it doesn't make it to the air, the very first thing, the most powerful thing that happens, it gets it out of your head. The second thing that happens is when we finally do share it with the community, somebody else listening says, dang it, if Miranda can do it, I can do it. Boy, you've given someone that spark right now. And so I thank you for sharing your life and your journey with thousands of us here to really improve ourselves. And so keep up the amazing work. And thank you so much for writing in. The last email from the show comes in out of California from Los Angeles. Jessica writes in and says, I am celebrating that my mindset is aimed for success. I'm getting rid of the excuses and I'm making it happen. I am intentionally hitting my goals daily, my water, my movement, honestly tracking, and positive thinking. Mike, I can never thank you enough for all that you give us and all that you do for the community. You take thank you for your service to a whole new level. I am proud to know you and proud to be your wingman, Jessica. Jessica, thanks for that little note. It's a good way to end the show here. I love you too, right? It's fun that we catch every Monday in the Discord chat, and we have an opportunity to chat one-on-one every once in a while. So you're pretty awesome. So thanks for all that you do as well. It's a two-way street. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't necessarily do this podcast strictly for you, right? It's beneficial. And so when I'm engaged in the community, it's because I need to be engaged in the community. I'm not trying to do anything other than just keep my own journey afloat. And I need the support just as much as we together we need it. So you being a part of the community, you being someone that I can also lean on and I can share with and we can interact, that's what makes this whole thing work. It's a boring journey if the only person you can talk to about it is you, right? You're not going to find all the answers. Not a single one of us has all of the answers. But together, we all have some version of the answer. A piece of the puzzle. We all are holding at least one piece. Your job is to write in at onair@fatdag.com and tell me what piece of the puzzle you're holding. There may be someone who has the piece that connects to it. And maybe it's the frame. Maybe you have a corner piece. We have no idea what piece you're holding until you write in and let us know what it is. At that point, we jump up and down and we celebrate. We just do. That's the best part of this journey is the celebration. So I always want to know, what is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the Wise Advice podcast, send in your email. We can write it in at onair@fatdag.com, but send in your questions, your comments, your celebrations, every piece of it. I want to know. I want to hear from you. I'll work them in as part of the show. This is the show. That's how the whole thing goes. But I really want you to email in those celebrations because I want you, more importantly, to be proud of what you're doing. When you're proud of what you're doing, when you're taking the time for you, when you're putting yourself first, it gives you so much opportunity to help so many other people. But you've got to take care of you first. I'll go find the quote. You have two hands. Your one hand for helping others, one hand for helping yourself. Right? That's what this is all about. Take care of you. Do the time, do the work, do the effort. Get the copy of the book, I'm telling you. Get a copy of the WhysrMe workbook. Go to fatdag.com, download that. Right? Whatever it takes to get this done and stay engaged actively in the community is what it's all about. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. From Jacob editing remotely and Heather and Lisa from the production team, we wish you good focus.